A constitution is a written document that establishes the basic rights and freedoms of citizens and outlines how government should be structured. The United States Constitution was written in 1787, 4 years after America gained its independence from Great Britain. It divides the federal government into 3 branches. The legislative branch, also known as Congress, writes the laws. The executive branch, led by the president, makes sure the laws are carried out. And the judicial branch, led by the Supreme Court, interprets the laws. The 3-branch system is based on the concept of checks and balances. For example, the president checks the laws Congress writes. He can either approve the laws or veto them and send them back to Congress. Checks and balances keeps any one branch of government from getting too powerful. The federal government has a lot of power, but it shares power too. Each state has authority over its schools, businesses, and religious groups such as churches. States also run their own governments. Because the U.S. Constitution does not say how state and local governments should be structured, each state has its own constitution. When the original 13 colonies declared their independence from Great Britain, they found they didn't have any government institutions of their own to organize around. So the colonies decided to form governments. The British occupied New York City in the summer of 1776, making it difficult for New Yorkers to meet and get to work on forming a government. But several patriot printers managed to escape with their equipment. One man, Samuel Loudon, set up a provisional or temporary government in Fishkill. Soon, a constitutional convention was formed. New York State's first constitution was written in 1777, as the Revolutionary War was being fought on battlefields nearby. The authors of New York's first constitution were young, prosperous, and smart, but they weren't sure how to write a constitution. It wasn't entirely their fault. They had no constitutional model to imitate, and most had not worked in public service before. But they were patriots, committed to the principles of self-government. John Jay was a 32-year-old lawyer. Robert R. Livingston, Jay's law partner, was 29. And Gouverneur Morris was the youngest. He was only 25. The Constitution began with a long attack on the British Crown and its rule. A printing of the Declaration of Independence came after that. The Constitution then established a system of government for New York State. It stated that the legislature was made up of a Senate and an Assembly. The executive branch was called a council and was made up of the governor, the chancellor, and judges of the state Supreme Court. They decided as a group if a bill would become a law. This was not quite the 3-branch system of government that the U.S. Constitution would lay out, but it was a good start. The 1777 Constitution served as the fundamental law of New York State for 45 years, until it was amended or changed in 1822. George Clinton was elected New York's first governor in June 1777. The Revolutionary War was still going on, and he was a brigadier general in the New York State Militia. He is known as the Father of New York because he served as governor longer than any other person in New York's history. 21 years. When the war was over, New York City became the first capital of the new nation. And on April 30th, 1789, it was the site of another American first. President George Washington was inaugurated in the Senate chamber at Federal Hall on Wall Street.